Welcome to another edition of the CS Podcast, where you can hear interviews with special guests such as
Dale Buchanan, Tom Waddle, Pierre Desir, Brent Berry, Ed Werder,
and many others.
Too big, too strong, too fast, too good.
So be sure to subscribe and tune in to the CS Podcast on YouTube at youtube.com/ChristianRE722.
Did you not get the memo?
That's www.youtube.com/ChristianRE722 for great interviews. Be sure to check out the CS Podcast.
You are ridiculous.
Welcome to another special edition of the CS Podcast. As always, I'm your host, Chris Shanafel, and today we'll be focusing on the Chicago Bears. As you all know, General Manager Phil Emery and Head Coach Mark Trestman and his staff are out, and Ryan Pace and John Fox are in. At first, when this news came out, I wasn't stoked, but as time has gone on, it's been about a week since the hiring became official. I gotta say, the move is really growing on me, and I gotta say, it's pretty exciting to know that the Bears probably got the best guy available for the job. He has 13 years of head coaching experience. He's taken his teams to 2 Super Bowls, so he's a guy that's familiar with success in the NFL. So it's a little exciting when you think about it that way and what he can bring to the organization. Fox is already getting his staff together. He's brought special teams coordinator Jeff Rodgers and offensive coordinator Adam Gase along with them, as well as defensive coordinator Vic Fangio, who was previously with the San Francisco 49ers the past 4 seasons. So it seems as if this team is already better than it was a month ago just with the coaching changes. And my first guest to talk about these changes will be Lester Wilfong Jr. of WindyCityGridiron.com. Joining the show right now to talk Chicago Bears is editor for WindyCityGridiron.com, Lester Wilfong Jr. You guys can give him a follow on Twitter at Wilfong Jr. Lester, I appreciate you taking some time to chat. How's everything going?
I'm good, Chris. How you doing?
I'm doing great, so let's go ahead and get right to it. Last Monday, one day after the Broncos lost to the Colts in the divisional round of the playoffs, the Broncos and John Fox part ways, and just a few days later it became official. The Chicago Bears hired John Fox to be the team's next head coach. This is the first time the Bears have hired an experienced head coach since Patty Driscoll in 1956. I gotta say, I'm pretty excited. Overall, how do you feel about the hiring?
I'm the same way. I'm really excited. I mean, he's an experienced professional coach, which is a little different than what we had with Mark Trestman in town. So, having to go from Mark Trestman and, the CFL experience to John Fox, who's done it with a couple teams now, it's a great time to be a Bears fan.
Oh, absolutely. Now, it always seems like the Bears are always going after the Denver Broncos sloppy seconds. I mean, we got Cutler, Marshall, DJ Williams, now John Fox, special teams coordinator Jeff Rodgers. And then last night, news came out that they had hired offensive coordinator Adam Gase, who I know some had thought was the runner-up for the Bears head coaching job. Gase was the Broncos coordinator since 2013, but it seems like every play we see Manning switch things up at the line of scrimmage. Now, I know it'll probably be better to ask somebody who covers the Denver Broncos, but how much of the success that Denver's offense had over the last couple of seasons do you think Gase's play calling is actually responsible for?
I think it's part of it. I was just as curious as all other Bears fans, so I did a little digging, listened to some of the beat writers from Denver, and he's still calling the plays. Obviously, but what he's doing, when he calls a play, and occasionally it's an actual play to call. Sometimes when he calls a play, he's calling it a package play or a concept. Then when Manning gets the line, of course he does his thing, his Omaha thing, and it goes from there. But from listening to the guys that played for the Broncos, everyone's really high on Gase. They all speak really highly of him. He seems like a really fiery guy, really competitive coach. So I think he's going to do a real good job here in Chicago.
Well, I got to think there's a ton that Gase wants to prove here in Chicago, but there is a big difference in coaching a future first ballot Hall of Famer in Peyton Manning and then going to a smoking Jay Cutler. There's no doubt that this is still one of the more talented offenses in the NFL, though. What do you feel is the number one thing that Gase needs to realize he has to do in order to have success with this Bears offense?
I think he has to run the ball. That was a little bit of a knock on him coming in, but again, when you see him calling the Peyton Manning offense, that's obviously going to be a lot of pass-first stuff because you got Peyton Manning, one of the best ever. Coming to Chicago, he has to kind of have the same philosophy as his head coach John Fox, where John Fox wants to run the ball, do some play action stuff. And I think if he comes in with a little more balance to the game plan, that'll take away some of Jay Cutler's chances to make the real silly plays that he does sometimes. The fewer chances he has to throw the ball, I think, is the better. I'm not trying to say that in a negative way, but someone of Jay Cutler's skill level should not be throwing the ball 50 times a game.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you're absolutely right about that. And, of course, Adam Gase's first year in Denver was in 2009. He was the wide receivers coach, and that was actually Brandon Marshall's last year there. Now, there's been some rumors that the hiring may not bode well for Marshall's future in Chicago, although Marshall did tweet out yesterday he's already caught up with Gase and that it's an excellent hire. In your opinion, does this hiring of Adam Gase affect Brandon Marshall's future with the Bears?
I don't think it does. I mean, if you listen to some of the big guys in town, they're already skewed on which way they're going to go with Marshall this year. Some guys say he's gone. Some guys are thinking he's going to stay. I think the thing with Gase in 2009 was just Brandon Marshall was in a bad place in his life. That was it was well documented. He's at practice with the ball. He's kicking the ball. He's refusing to catch the ball at practice that year. That was before he was diagnosed with the borderline personality disorder. So I think it's just a situation where Gase was a young coach, again, real competitive. Brandon Marshall was kind of one of these guys that had the diva gene in full effect over there. So they kind of clashed. But obviously, like I said, they talked a little bit, so it seems to be worked out. So I hope Brandon Marshall sticks around.
Lester Wilfong Jr. of WindyCityGridiron.com joining the CS podcast. And Lester, either, neither, or both, who's suiting up for the Chicago Bears next season between Jay Cutler and Brandon Marshall?
I think both. I mean, it's a real tough situation with Jay Cutler. I mean, obviously he's owed a lot of money, so are the Bears going to eat it and cut him? Are they going to find a trade partner? I mean, I think it's unlikely at this time. So I think they're both going to be around next year.
All right, sounds good. I totally agree with you. Now, final topic I want to get to with you, Lester, is the defensive side of the ball. A few days ago, the Bears were able to land one of the more well-respected defensive coordinators in the National Football League, and that is Vic Fangio, formerly of the San Francisco 49ers. It really sounded as if he would be going to Washington, but the Bears were able to lock up both him and his defensive backs coach, Ed Donatel. It hasn't been said what type of defense they'll be running, but the Niners ran a 3-4 under Fangio, and they were able to have a lot of success in that system. I believe they were a top 5 defense every year Fangio was there. Even last season when some of the more talented guys went down. So we got to think the Bears are going to be going this route as well, no?
Yeah, that's my guess. You mentioned the job he did last year in San Fran with all the injuries and the problem with some of the players that were missing games. So he did a great job last year. He has done some 4-3 in the past, although it was a long time ago. He's definitely a guy that wants to run a 30 front on his defense. So if that's the case, the Bears have to make some tweaks to the roster. But then again, he's a real talented coach. He's always been able to work with the strengths of his roster. So I think he'll be fine with whatever he goes, 4-3, 3-4, some hybrid of the two.
All right, now hear me out on this one. I'm not saying that Shea McClellan is going to be the next Alden Smith or anything like that, but I do think that this change of defense can really help him out. Am I crazy for thinking that?
No, I think that by him being a defensive end for his first couple years, obviously that was a bad fit for him. The fact that he was actually playing as a linebacker last year is going to help him make the transition, whether they go 3-4 or if he stays as a linebacker. I think it's a good fit for him now. This is going to be his last chance. It's his last year of his rookie deal. So whether he's a boomer or bust will be decided this season.
Mm-hmm. And, of course, just this past season, we heard Lance Briggs say so much how, he knows it's his last year in Chicago. As for Peanut Tillman, it sounds like he wouldn't mind coming back, but it also sounds as if that he wouldn't be returning as well. What do you feel are the chances that Briggs or Peanut Tillman return next season?
I think of the two, it's a bigger chance for Briggs to be gone. I just think he kind of wowed his welcome. Some of the stuff he did with the coaching staff early, he seemed like he wasn't in the best of shape coming into camp. And then he was missing time for the restaurant opening. I just don't know if George McCaskey's okay with that. And it seems like a lot of stuff that happens now behind the scenes is going to be up to George. As far as re-signing him. But then again, we'll see what happens. As far as Tillman, I'm a huge fan of Charles Tillman, so I'm a little biased in this. I would love to see him back. But with his age and his injury, it's hard to say. But I think of the two, it's a better chance for Tillman to come back.
All right, sounds good. I certainly would not be upset with that either. I'm a huge Peanut Tillman fan as well, Lester. But that's actually all I have for you. I really do appreciate your time. It was great speaking with you. Once again, you guys can check out Lester's work at WindyCityGridiron.com and give him a follow on Twitter at Wiltfong Jr. You have anything else for us before I let you go?
Sounds good, Chris. I think we had a lot of stuff covered.
All right, sounds good. Once again, thank you very much, Lester. Take care, all right?
All right, we'll talk to you. Bye-bye.
Great stuff out of Lester Wilfong Jr. of WindyCityGridiron.com. Be sure to check out his work. Now up next, I was able to speak with former Carolina Panthers and Chicago Bears defensive back Ricky Manning. Ricky's been on the show a couple of times, and he brings a special point of view because he's actually somebody that has played under John Fox his first 3 years in the NFL with the Panthers, and of course he spent some time with the Chicago Bears as well. Manning's now coaching football at Fresno City College and actually interned with John Fox and the Denver Broncos during minicamp and training camp this past season. So without further ado, here's my interview with Ricky Manning. Welcome back to the CS Podcast. I'm your host, Chris Shanafel, and I'm now joined by former NFL defensive back, spent most of his career with the Carolina Panthers and the Chicago Bears, Ricky Manning. As always, Ricky, it's a pleasure to have you back on, and let's go ahead and get right to it. About 6 days ago, it became official that John Fox will be the new head coach for the Chicago Bears. You spent the first 3 years of your career in Carolina when Fox was the head coach of the Panthers. Can you tell us what kind of coach the Chicago Bears are getting?
Foxy's a great coach, man. A great guy. They get a guy with a lot of energy, man. Headstrong, very focused, know what he wants. Knows how to get his point across, and knows how to keep his team ready and motivated. So Chicago couldn't have hired a better coach this year. So I think it's going to be great things for Chicago in the future.
The Denver Broncos probably had the most talented team on paper, and they were able to win the AFC West this year, but was knocked out in the divisional round of the playoffs by the Indianapolis Colts. And throughout Fox's 4 years with the Broncos, they won the AFC West each season, including one with Tim Tebow. Of course, they won the AFC and made an appearance in the Super Bowl just last season. Were you surprised when John Elway and the Broncos parted ways with Fox, and what was your reaction when the news came out last week that Fox will be the new head coach of the Monsters of the Midway?
I was completely shocked when I heard about the parting ways between Fox and the Broncos. It completely took me by surprise. From doing the internship there for training camp, everything was going smooth and great. So don't know what kind of happened there, especially winning the division 4 years in a row. But when I seen that Chicago job come open, I was thinking what, that may where he may be the best fit for that spot. So, and when it happened, I was ecstatic. I was ecstatic for Fox. I was ecstatic for the Bears program, and just excited to see what's going to come from it.
Obviously, last season was one of the toughest years in Chicago Bears history. They went 5-11. They fired general manager Phil Emery after 3 years and head coach Mark Trestman after 2 years. That's really uncommon, especially for the Bears when you look back at their history. The team is already better than it was a month ago, just with the coaching changes, if you ask me. But obviously, this will be tough to turn around. So when the team is down and battling adversity, what can we expect to see out of John Fox to help pick things back up?
Well, you know what? He's been there before. When he took over Carolina, I remember their first couple seasons wasn't the best seasons as well, and he had to turn that program around. In my rookie year, we made it to the Super Bowl. From not even being playoff contenders, the season before. So it'll take time though. But I'm a firm believer that a lot of weapons are in place already. There's great talent in Chicago already. Now, if there wasn't nobody there, then it'd be kind of worried. But there's some guys there that have some weapons. And if his coaches, if they can get in, they can get into a system and they can believe in the coaches that are there. They'll be great. They'll turn that thing around. I know personally, especially the special team coordinator Jeff Rogers, working with him. He's pretty good at what he does, so I know that there should be a big improvement in special teams, and that's a big part of the game. long. So, and Adam Gase too, offensive coordinator, he's pretty good at what he's a gunslinger. What I mean by gunslinger, he likes to go after. He likes to get the job done, and I think it'll boast well with the guys that are there.
Former Carolina Panthers and Chicago Bears defensive back Ricky Manning joining the show. And Ricky, is there any similarities between John Fox and Lovie Smith?
Completely opposite, completely different. I always kind of not make a joke about it, but I always tell players I'm so thankful to be able to play under two guys that are so different because both styles of coaching and both styles of philosophy of coaching are different, but they both work. They both have success. Lovey is an easier going guy. Treats guys like man, kind of let the hey guys, you got to man up and you got to try to do this stuff. And we play hard and play fast, and keep it simple, and it works. Whereas when we were in Foxy, it was a lot more complex. We did a lot of things, and it worked as well. So, it was just a blessing to be able to play under both coaches.
Absolutely. Now, Ricky, you mentioned that Fox has proven that he can help turn around organizations. He did it in Carolina. They went 1-15 the year before he got there, and 2 years later, you guys are in the Super Bowl. The year before he got to Denver, they were last in the AFC West, and his first year there, they were first in the AFC West and knocked off the Pittsburgh Steelers in the playoffs. Now, I'm confident that sooner or later the Bears will make a playoff appearance under Fox. But do you think Fox has what it takes to win a Super Bowl? He's been there twice. Of course, you're a part of one of those teams, but he hasn't been able to seal the deal. Now, I'm not asking if you think he'll win one with the Bears, but I'm just asking in general, do you think Fox has what it takes to lift up that Lombardi trophy one day, whether it's with the Bears or some other organization?
Oh, yeah, he definitely has what it takes. I mean, think about it. We lost my rookie year. We should have beat the Patriots. We lost by 3 points, So, I mean, you're talking about 3 points or 4 points away from hosting that trophy up. Now, the Denver one, hey, the Denver-Seattle game, they didn't really have a shot at that from the start. So, but he was there, and if you can get there, you can get over that hump. And I think he definitely has what it takes to get over that hump. He's right there, and honestly, the ball's got to bounce your way sometimes, And at the end of the game, it just didn't for us. But Foxy he'll be back there definitely, and he'll be a guy that's contending for it every year.
Hey, that's something that Chicago Bears fans definitely want to hear. Now, for those who don't know, Ricky, you're the defensive back and special teams coach for Fresno City College. And like you said, in the summer, you interned for the Denver Broncos during minicamp and training camp. What was that experience like, and what did you learn from Fox and his assistant coaches?
Oh, man, it was awesome. It was awesome. One thing I learned being back in the NFL atmosphere is, that's where I want to be. It just felt great. It felt big time. I'm a true competitor, and it doesn't get any more competitive than that level. So, what I learned football-wise, it was really more for the experience, just to see how things are done at that level on the coaching side of it. And the coaches were great, man. They welcomed me in. Sam Gar's a guy, former player. He was real graceful and allowing us to kind of help out. And then, like I mentioned earlier, Jeff Rogers and Darius Swin, who's a special team guy at Chicago now, just great guys, man, that really know what they're doing, and they were welcoming too. And I learned, I was a special team intern. I did some stuff with the DBs. I learned a lot about special teams things. A lot of stuff I knew, but some of the techniques and some of the drills that Jeff had those guys doing to prepare them to be able to be successful in those special teams were awesome. And I took them back with me to Fresno City College, and it helped our special teams tremendously. So, I learned that aspect of it, and like I said, just kind of the day-to-day responsibilities the coaches go through, and the quality control guys, and things like that was really what I experienced. So it was awesome.
Well, hey, man, there's no doubt the Bears defensive backs, the Bears special teams, they need a lot of help, man. I'm sure Chicago fans will welcome you back with open arms. I'm just saying.
Oh, yeah, man. That's, Foxy and an organization, I would love to get a foot in the door. You know, and I told Frank that too. Hey, I'm willing to start at any level as long as I can get under a guy like that. You know, there's two people that I really look up to, and Foxy's one of them. Because some of the stuff he used to say as a coach to us, I say to my kids as a coach now. And the other guy is Lovie Smith. He's another guy that I hold high regard to. Just great guys, man. Great foundations. I got a chance to spend some time with Lovie Smith out here in the Singapore, and man, I'm just so blessed and so fortunate to be able to play for those guys. And like I said, I would love to be in Chicago, man. That would be great for me and my family. So, you know, who knows? Hopefully, I'll keep pestering Foxy and see what happens. But you know, I'm pretty sure if there's room, he'll make a way.
Hey, that's awesome. That's awesome. Well, of course, last year we had Chris Harris, former Bears safety. He was doing some coaching, I believe, somewhere with the defensive backs. I'm not exactly sure what his title was, but he was a part of the Bears coaching staff last season, so it's nice to see the organization give those former players an opportunity. Once again, Chris Shanafelt talking with former NFL defensive back Ricky Manning here on the CS podcast. And Ricky, just a couple more questions for you, then I'll let you go. Of course, the big topic in the NFL right now is that the New England Patriots were caught cheating once again. 11 of their 12 game balls used in the AFC Championship game were found deflated in their 45-7 victory over the Colts. Now, I don't think there would be any doubt that the Patriots would have won that game, whether they were throwing deflated footballs or bricks. But what are your thoughts on all of this, and how much of an impact do you think that this could have on the game?
You know what? I really, to be honest, I like to wait until things come out all the way, because I know initially when it first breaks, it's like, everything isn't always what it seems to be reported wise, because there's still some unknowns, because the temperature causes the balls to deflate a little bit. I don't know if they purposely, who's going to ask those guys, hey, did you have somebody purposely deflate balls? And, then they have to say yes or no. If they say no, then, you kind of got to take their word until you prove otherwise. But until someone proves that those balls have been deflated intentionally by the Patriots, then, you can't really label them as cheating or doing something that, until the truth comes out. Now, if it does come out that happened, then, that's pretty bad, Then the league is in a tough position, because I have no idea what would they do? What would they do about it, Because they're in the Super Bowl, representing the AFC, and they are the best team in the AFC. What do you, the NFL league, what do you do? How do you punish them? You can't take them out of the Super Bowl and put somebody else in it. It just wouldn't. It'd be a tough spot. So, hopefully, I was bad upon no organization. Hopefully, it was just the air temperature, and it was a coincidence, and they didn't purposely do it, and that's the results, hopefully.
Well, there's definitely a lot more to come out of this story. Once again, the AFC Championship game was a blowout, but the NFC Championship game will be one that goes down as one of the greatest comebacks I've ever seen. The Packers had that game won. How Seattle was able to come back and not only force the game into overtime, but pull out the victory, I have no idea, but that's exactly what happened. So it's going to be the New England Patriots taking on the Seattle Seahawks in Super Bowl 49. Me, personally, I have no idea who I have winning the game yet. If I had to lean one way, I might go with the Patriots, but it's so tough to call. How about you, Ricky? Do you have any prediction for this game?
Yeah, that was a tough NFC matchup, man, and I feel sorry for Aaron Rodgers. And they're going to be kicking themselves in the for so long now, because they should not have given that game away. But I'm so happy for Coach Carroll and my boy Chris Richard, who I know well, to go be going, repeating the Super Bowl, repeating that appearance in the Super Bowl. So, but I don't think they're going to win it. I think Patriots, they're too healthy, they're too powerful right now, and Seattle's dealing with a couple of injuries, key injuries with Richard Sherman and Earl Thomas, and I know they said that they're going to be playing, but, you're still playing, not 100%. It's going to have an effect on you. So, and plus Patriots are playing good ball. Seattle, they didn't play that. They didn't play that well last game. Five turnovers. I mean, they can't do that against the Patriots team. It would just, they they barely got away with it against a great Green Bay team. You know, had Aaron Rodgers been 100%, it probably would have been a different story. But I don't think that they'll be able to repeat it and pull it out against the Patriots.
Well, it should be a great game nonetheless. It sounds like we're both leaning towards going with the New England Patriots in this one. As always, Ricky, it's a treat speaking with you. I appreciate your insight and your time, and we'll have to talk again soon. Take care, all right?
Definitely. Thank you.
Some great insight by the former NFL defensive back. Certainly knows John Fox better than most, and who knows, soon we may be hearing news that Ricky Manning is one of the Bears' new coaches. But that's all I have for you guys on this podcast. Once again, special thanks to Lester Wilfong Jr. of WindyCityGridiron.com and former Panthers and Bears cornerback Ricky Manning for joining the show. Hope you all enjoyed.